Bem, boa tarde a todos. É um prazer tê-los conosco nessa sessão de abertura do SIG Educação Odontológica. Esta ideia surgiu há pouquíssimo tempo, quando conversávamos alguns colegas e tivemos então uma pronta aceitação e colaboração das instituições que aparecem neste card, né? A Universidade Federal de Santa Catarina, que está coordenando e providenciou todas as questões burocráticas para que esse SIG acontecesse, a nossa instituição Federal do Rio Grande do Sul, Federal de Goiás, Campina Grande e USP. Nós temos já a nossa programação de todo o ano, ela está no site da ADEE, onde existe, então, todo o registro das atividades e, posteriormente, nós vamos compartilhar aqui com vocês. E estamos muito felizes com o aceite do professor Damien de estar conosco, nos trazendo uma mensagem de otimismo. Eu convido o professor Marco Antônio Dias da Silva, nosso parceiro lá da Universidade Federal de Campina Grande, que foi quem oportunizou esse contato com o professor Damien, para que faça então a sua apresentação e dê início a essa sessão. Por favor, Marco.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Damien.
Hi.
And we were talking about having a special interest group of dental education, and we started thinking who would represent better dental education, and who would be the best name for the first day. So I kept thinking that in your name, that would be the best name. And I think it would.
No pressure.
No pressure. I think that it would represent your decades of dedication in dental education, and now that we are all involved with the use of technologies in dental education. I remember when we were checking your articles from 20 years ago, when we were studying message texting with your students, and then games, and then videos and everything. So it's a lot of experience. And we are here to listen to you. And I hope we can have some good news from now on. I know you are a futurologist, and maybe you can predict what is going to happen with dental education from now on. And ladies and gentlemen, and here we have Professor Damien Walmsley.
So
I know you are retiring, Damien, but I hope it's not the last time I listen in one of your presentations. Damien, thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you very much, and that is hopefully I will not go too fast, and you can understand my English, because that is a really good introduction. The world is in turmoil, and when we get down to our own workplace, to predict what is going to happen is very difficult. So my talk is moving forward to better times. And well, I asked the question, what are better times? And we look back. These are our students, dental students, graduating in 2019, very happy, very pleased, and everything was going to be perfect. It was going to be good because they were going to on a successful career as dentists. That is our graduation in 2020. It was done over the computer, and it was a virtual graduation. So there's a year that didn't have a get-together it's all virtual.
Damien, I'm sorry.
Yes?
I think we are not seeing presentation.
You're not
Could
seeing the
you,
presentation?
yeah, could you share it again? I don't know if you have the
Okay.
sharing permission.
Right, maybe I changed it off again. Okay then. I think because I'd clicked back out of it. Let's see if you're going to see it now. Okay. Thank you.
It's coming.
Can you see that?
Yes,
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Damien. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. No, it's the system. I think when I cut out, as soon as I break out of the presentation, it breaks the link of the screen share. So I had students, there they are, dental students, very, very happy, and they had everything to look forward. Beautiful sunny day, well, not completely sunny, but good weather for the United Kingdom, and we were very happy. And that's 2020 graduation, all virtual, all done while they were sitting at a computer. So there is a 1 year of students that never experienced that sort of graduation. They experienced it over the computer. Our plans for the graduation celebrations. It will happen, but subject to government restrictions. The situation is still unpredictable. We're going to do outdoor, socially distanced activities. Careful you don't make any travel arrangements until closer to the time. So in 2021, we don't know. We think we will have a graduation, but it is still unpredictable. So it makes it very difficult, even trying to organize things like this, a simple graduation. So how, as learning outcomes, as dental educators, how do we prepare our students for dental practice? What teaching works best in the new future? What have we learned? And will we change? Will we go back to where we were, or what will happen? And I think that's what I want to concentrate on, thinking about it. I've got no answers, but I know things have really changed, and the people we teach are very different. So I'm going to look at what happened, reflect on the teaching in person and virtually, and then think about the moving forward and what we are going to be facing as dental educators. Marco, is this going over okay?
Yep, Damien, just perfect.
Very good. So what happened? This is our dental school. We've got a brand new dental school, and we're very lucky that we have a brand new dental school because it has surprisingly, it has windows, big windows you can open for ventilation to let the air in. It's modern. Many dental schools are not modern and have not been able to deal when we've got a virus. So we've been lucky as a dental school. Some of our colleagues are not so lucky. And that is a few days before the lockdown, a final year photograph of the students. And that's the last photograph of that year altogether. And it's interesting because I'm reading the news in the United Kingdom now saying that we were complacent. We didn't know what was going to happen. We just thought it was going to be the flu. No one would die. Nothing would, our hospitals would be okay. And it was wrong. What we did do was we panicked. So here we are on the same day, checking the equipment, making sure that we could do our lectures online and checking the computers worked. And this is something that we'd never, yes, we had it in place, but there was a lecture or a tutorial or a student knocking on the door coming in to talk to us. We had never had to fully rely on the computers. John Lennon said, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one." And so what happened? What was the dream we entered? This is my village. My village in lockdown 1, just no people around. It could be early at the weekend before people have got up. But I can tell you, if you look closely around the village, the restaurants were all boarded up and locked away. It was very depressing. For myself and my wife, the weather was lovely. Lockdown was a lovely time to do different things, but it was not a strange time. So we started off from the months of March to June doing video conferencing. We couldn't do any clinics. There was Canvas, which is the system that we use, and Canvas had a big blue button function, and this big blue button was a function that allowed us to do the video conferencing. And everyone was a little bit excited, enjoyable, it was new. And then there was more webinars, and more webinars, and webinars, and webinars, and webinars, and Zoom, and Zoom, and Zoom, Teams. And the students, when were they going to get back in the clinic? When were we going to get back in the clinic? Because as it went on, time and time was slipping away. It was nice and straightforward to do lectures in this way and doing tutorials. The students didn't turn on their webcams. They probably were in bed. They wanted the seminars to be late in the morning. They like to listen. They like texting. And they definitely wanted the tutorial recorded so they could play it again and again and again. And that's what they wanted to do. They were listening to the recordings and listening to it a lot. So this was very different. So in a lecture, you could say things, but then it was being recorded and then it was played back and played back again. It could be that you could be saying things. You had to be very careful what you were saying. Also, you had to make sure your lectures are up to date and redo them. And it was getting quite stressful. We got to July in 2020 and we wanted to get back to work. The first wave had gone over, but we had difficulties in timetabling for teaching and learning. We couldn't keep our students in the same groups. We couldn't really. How were we going to get patients with them? It was really difficult. Dentistry outside was not good at all. It was in a bad way. And the only things being done were tooth extractions and emergency services. And many people were having antibiotics. And we know that antibiotics are not very, very useful, but it was the only thing. There we are trying to tell people not to take antibiotics because it doesn't really cure toothache, but people were taking them. Was there any literature that helped us? No, they just told us what we were experiencing. We had nothing to go on. They told us about the problems, but no one, like today, you're all sitting on the edge of the seats. You want a solution. And the solution is just a very slow change and compromise. In September 2020, we started the new term. The picture there shows lots of little yellow arrows in our dental school, so people could move around the dental school and not talk to each other. The student tutorial groups were changed. They were put into bubbles where they lived in the same house. Clinical uniforms changed. Personal protection, they had to wear special masks. And there were still lots of webinars, Zoom, Teams, Zoom, lots of video online conversations. It was a slow process. So how are we teaching now? Well, the university talked about educational resilience. Resilience in English, I don't know if it translates into Portuguese, but it's like a bouncing ball. You bounce back. You have a problem, but you wake up to the problem and you tackle it. So you're resilient. You have an inner strength that helps you. But it's very difficult to keep it going because you want to keep the teaching going, keeping the learning experience for all the students as a high quality and supportive. And this was across the whole university. So resilience is the word, and I'm doing some research on resilience with a young dentist, and we're asking the students about resilience. Some students say, I wish we had courses on it. Other students say, rubbish, I don't need to have resilience. No need for me to have it. So people reacting in different ways, very different ways, and mental health problems are very difficult to uncover and to help with the students. So the university said we have to be realistic. What can we? The university said we have to be realistic. What can we deliver? We have to be resilient, plan to deliver and withstand the challenges, maintain high levels of quality and consistency, help and reassure the students, get extra support in to help them, help the staff, because the staff, we're challenged by the change. We've been asked to work differently, not in the same way. We say in English, not in our comfort area. We're not comfortable with what's happening. And money as well. Students are paying the money, but they're not getting the same style of approach. So that's students have had to pay in Birmingham for a year's accommodation just to tell the landlords that they're going to live in Birmingham for a year. Then COVID came and they've gone home to their parents, but they've kept the accommodation going. And the politicians are getting complaints from parents saying that what's happening? So there's a lot of financial challenges, and students are wanting to know what they're getting for their money. So change, it's just change all the time. You have to be ready for change. All I can tell you about the future is it's going to change, whatever you do, and you have to be ready. And some of us are going to be better at doing it than others. This is my colleague, Upan Patel. You can see in the he's wearing uniform that gets washed every night. We can see the students are wearing uniform that can be washed every night. There's not many students and people on the clinic. It's not busy because we can't accommodate lots of people on the clinic. So that is a busy working clinic. Yet really there should be 3 times as many people on that clinic, but because of the virus we can't have as many people and patients. So we're having to deal with the social and the economic environment, the supply of patients. What patients can we get? We're changing our working day. Now we're working all day from 9 till 9 at night or 8 o'clock at night. So it's a long working day. Staff and students are changing how they work. So as a member of staff, you might be asked to work 3 nights a week. The protection equipment, that's a cost to the hospital. We have to keep the social distancing and the distance between people, so it's slower. Mondays is when they do lectures and the tutorials go online. And the students like the lectures online because they like the fact that they can record them and they can watch them at their leisure. I don't think we will go back to lots of lectures again or tutorials. Maybe tutorials, but not big lectures all the time, because students have found that they quite like the recorded lectures they get. So all these things in the top left-hand corner, those older patients, well, they're going to now start coming because they'll feel safe. The dentistry looks different because we've got lots of visors, hats, ventilation. We will never have, or will we, crowded stations again? Will we get back to that? The government thinks we will. Or will we just see people walking the streets with masks and gloves? So the mobile phone is becoming more and more to the fore, and students like to use it. I've been reading some articles preparing for this, and the mobile phone is what they want to use, and they'll use it with their laptop. And the students, they're different. I've put ni una menos. Is that right, Marco?
I don't know, Damien. But what do you mean?
Well, I looked that up. It's the hashtag for the feminine backlash against men being inappropriate.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Started in Argentina, but apparently has moved around Latin America. Black Lives Matter, global warming, sustainability, mental health, the right to education. Your students are going to get more and more militant, and you are going to be not able to. You're going to have to deal with the difference of these people coming. They're not going to be very happy if you say something to them, because as soon as they think you're saying something that might be sexual, might be inappropriate, wrong, they won't just say ha 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 ha. They will come at you and tell you. And there are cases now in Birmingham where where staff are being taken off the clinics and given retraining because their students do not like the way they're teaching them. So be warned. Mental health problems. Students are fragile now, worried what the future will bring. There's a lot more difference of the female-male ratio. There's a lot more differences in how they look at things. Sustainability, the heroes to them. Equality, justice, ensuring that they are getting their rights and they're not being treated wrongly. That is really big. For instance, during lockdown, our dental students donated food for the Birmingham Food Bank. This was really big and passionate to them. They wanted to do something. So it's really important what matters to them outside dentistry. Now, many of you will have heard of boomers, baby boomers, born between 1946 and 64, 57 to 75. I'm a baby boomer. Generation X's, 41 to 56. Generation Ys, and they say they're between Y1s and Y2s, and now we've got Generation Z's coming up. And they put all these things and they talk about the technology. I disagree. I disagree with that. You're going to have students, like people like us, who remember when dentistry was taught well. You'll have some students whose life was, I won't say the word, and we had to fight to get our education. They lived through COVID, and then there'll be students who'll be coming through who will say, we want to be taught now before another crisis arrives. We've got higher expectations than those that have gone before us. We don't want whatever happened. So the generations will come through, and that middle group of those who have been in COVID they'll be very militant. I was reading UNESCO, and UNESCO have 9 ideas for public action about education in a post-COVID world. And I've just taken a few of them of the UNESCO. They did this around about June last year, July last year. Moving forward, we've got to value the teaching, value us and our collaboration. We must reimagine the social spaces in our dental schools. They were talking about education, but I've made it more for dentistry. So our dental schools have got to be thought differently. How the social spaces, how people interact. We've got to educate our teachers on how to use free and open source technologies and how to put that information to students. These students have got to fight fake news. They've got to fight the fact that there's a lot more people will be influencing them now. And our influence is going to be very small compared to other people out there who will be telling them different things. The finance, the money coming into dental education may not be the same. I'd like to say it would be the same, but it might not be. We might have to do things even more for less. And then we have to end inequality and injustice in our systems. All students need to be treated the same and should have the right to an education. And that's going to be a very difficult mindset, difficult to get around. In the UK, dentistry is finding it very difficult. I don't know what it's like in Brazil, but many dentists, the private dentistry is doing it better than the government dentistry. But patients going to the dentists, I just read some articles today about, have I got the dentist? About how to get your patients back to the, I don't know if you can see me, but the dentistry, which is sent out to all dentists, and it was just saying all these things, that the uncertainty of government funding, and if government funding goes, then not everyone can do private dentistry. But I can imagine Brazil has been dealing with that type of problem for a long time. Students are worried. Will they get their requirements? Will they qualify in the normal time? They don't want to do more time at dental school. Teachers don't want to drop standards. This is dentistry and we are different. We're not different. Well, why do we keep saying we're different? Because if we're different, then people will tell us to go away into our own corner and do our own thing. We have to say that we are going to help and do that. But and teachers are going to be stressed because we've got so much teaching to do. I think we have to use our competencies matrix more. and use the competencies, and therefore maybe look more for quality than quantity. It's going to be very difficult, but we have to think of that. More simulation. The lectures going online, so you get more space for clinical time. More tutorials online, more space for clinical time. Change the working day and shift the model. It may be that you can't teach them everything in dental school. They're going to have to be taught more outside. And that's letting people come out of dental school that might not be as well trained, but the dentists outside are going to have to take some responsibility and maybe do some of the training. I'm only saying, I don't know, but I don't think we can rely on dental schools the same way. It's taken us a lot of money. Can you see the barriers we've put up? All the barriers to stop the aerosols happening. That's been a great cost to us to do all that, so that the students can use the drills and can use the ultrasonic scalers. And we're a new dental school, we've got ventilation, but we're still slow. And it's cost us a lot of money to sort this out. Not every dental school's been able to do this. 5 years ago, the Queen and the Duke came, Duke of Edinburgh came to, the Duke of Edinburgh came, it seems a long time ago now, but at least we have a new school to help us. And I'm not going to go into the graduating European dentist, but I'm going to mention that you can look at the competencies, put your teaching, learning, assessment in line with your competencies, look at your quality and your learning outcomes. We may have to work together. We may have to work together. It may be one of the things we've done, what we've done in Birmingham, is that we have now a general exam. Instead of the endodontists, the periodontists, the operative dentists and the prosthodontists, for them all doing their exams, we've told them to get together and do one exam. So we did one exam that tested endodontics, tested operative, tested prosthodontics, tested periodontics. The students were very confused because they kept looking at, we gave them a case and they kept saying, well, if I was an endodontist, if I was a periodontist, but we kept saying to them, you're a dentist. What would you do if you were a dentist? And some students took all the various bits and put them together. Some of the teachers found it really good because they realized what was being taught in endodontics, what was being taught in prosthodontics. And it took a lot of organization. Some teachers were unhappy. The students loved it because there was just one exam instead of 4 exams, and it worked really well. So that would never have happened before the COVID-19. We'd have stayed separate. But because we want to cut the time down to give them more time to do the clinics, we're changing our exams. I'm just checking my clock to see where I am on time. So we must embrace change. I think we've got to be person-centered in our clinical care, and we've got to be flexible. And that's going to be very difficult to be flexible. I'm sure you're the same. Teaching, this is preclinical teaching, very different. And that was one of the first teaching clinics. I think that was September 2020. And so it was new, but the students liked it, but it was all very different, all together. However, you've got less patients and you focus on quality and not quantity. In Scotland, they're forcing all the students to repeat a year. So in Scotland, the dental students have got to repeat the year. And it shows that we need to look at the impact this is having on the younger generation, those at school, college, university, and those who are about to graduate. They are going to be the generation that's going to really feel the effects of this for some time. So what is the new future? Let's have a look. What is that crystal ball gazing that we can do? Personalized learning. I think it's not going to be big lectures. It's really each student learning by themselves, using latest decision-making technology and monitoring our patients and assisting our patients, not just when they come for appointments, but maybe checking on them in between appointments, doing a more, as I call, holistic, the English word holistic, all over care rather than just the mouth. I think our learning's now got to relate to everyday life. Why do patients have gums which are not healthy? Why are their teeth prone to decay? Is it, they say they're brushing their teeth, but they're not. Have they got genetic problems? They say they're not eating sweets, but they are. We're going to have to be a little bit more proactive and get the information and understand and check on our patients a bit more. We're still going to have decay, dry mouth, gum disease, changes in denture wearing, tooth wear. All these are going to be very difficult to deal with, but we have to still put the preventive side in. They're going to be very, very difficult, but they will decrease as the population get better and healthier. We want people to be healthy and enjoy their life, and dentistry not to cause them pain, discomfort. So we've got to think about the patient, not what the dentist thinks is best. It's what the patient thinks is best for them to manage their life. It's a real change of idea. I just say, why do we ask our students to memorize facts when they can search on the iPhone or the Android? We've got to develop skills which allows them to understand the person. And it's not just a case that they need an endodontic procedure, they need that tooth and endodontic, they have that upper one, endodontically treated. What's going to happen to them when they go home? Are they still going to be able to eat in that tooth? Will they like the look of the tooth? Will they be happy with what you've done? Will they think you've done a good job? Will they recommend you to other people? More genetic testing. And I know where the genetic testing is going. Lots of people are looking at that. Environmental, worried about the environmental aspects. Social economic, we talk about mental factors. What will the educational experience of the students look like? Well, we may be using decision-making technology. This is something called Previsor. It's done by one of the professors at our dental school, Professor Chappell. It's come from America. And you ask the person about their eating habits, their nutrition, their brushing habits, and you feed all the information in. And then they get a personalized report that tells them what the problem is, what's wrong with them in that respect, from the decay, the gum disease, warning them about oral cancer, warning them about other things. And then we can give that information maybe to the nurse or to the other people to help us with that information. I just found this. I mean, apparently it's getting better and better, the stuff. We don't even need the patient in the chair by the looks of it, but you can see how the virtual reality is getting closer and closer. And the haptic technology, the fun takes away the stress. So students love this. We didn't take it on. We didn't do this at Birmingham because our teachers didn't think that this would be a really good real life simulation. It had to be done on phantom heads. But people are coming through and they're enjoying this. And therefore, maybe we have to think about using this technology as it gets cheaper and cheaper. A good friend of mine took a picture of him delivering his ID block. He was in his own little world. He couldn't see the computer. He could see the patient though on the screen. Couldn't you, Marco?
Yeah, Damien. Yeah.
And what did you think of that?
I think it's a nice experience. It's not the same thing, but again, you can train using this.
The other thing that's coming through, and it's rapid, it's really quick, is digital workflow. The way that more and more, if you're doing crown preps, are you just scan the tooth and you send the information to it's not even to a technician. It's instead of 10 technicians, it's just one technician, and he's got a series of computers just making crowns for him. And therefore, the impression taking is going to be different. It's moving quicker and quicker. And the amount of research that's coming out, I just got this off the web today, and there's about 20 articles on the complexities of using this for implant solutions and how people are doing it more and more. So the technical side is definitely going to change, but I'm doing some work with a colleague looking at how dentists train for implants, and one of the big things is they're still not communicating well with their patients about implant work, but on the other side they can do the implant work very well and it's wonderful, but patients are still a bit unsure about what's being done to them. Does that make sense? Back to the mobile phone. A lot more mobile phone work being done. This is a company that's new on the market and they're very, very good. They're really listening to students and they've started on the preclinical. They're using games, using computer games to teach the students anatomy, using virtual games and helping the students understand what it might be like to look in the mouth with a mirror. And it's big response. They're using it through Instagram. So it's improving. Students are liking it. They like the competitive aspects because they can see what their colleagues are doing with it. They're motivated more. They're getting real-time feedback and they can improve their skills before they start meeting a patient. And they can do it with a mobile phone. They get a little pack and they can just do it in the bedsitter and play around. It may not be the real thing. It may not be the dental laboratory. It may not be the dental patient, but it's something that helps them and they like it. Andresa, who's on this call, and myself wrote an article for the British Dental Journal. And quizzes and training simulations are really popular in medical education. Doctors are being trained with them, nurses are being trained, but we're not using them very much in dentistry. Students love them, staff need time to create them. Another thing that's being done, it's rather like OSCEs, but this time it's escape rooms. My daughter, who's a businesswoman, loves doing escape rooms, and the same with students. There's several articles now where they've done escape rooms. You can see there's a box with clues, and they have to get in to get a radiograph and get ideas and do endodontic procedures, and they have to work as a group. And if they get through the game, they break out of that room and they can get to another room. And they quite like working as a team in the escape room. I've never done an escape room. It would frighten me a little bit, but my daughter loves doing escape rooms, and so do the students. Here's another one being done in America. No, is that America? I think no, this might be somewhere in Europe. And they've done an escape room, but this time is the dental laboratory. You can see it's a lab, and you can see the students working together as they try and escape the room, which is the dental school. And it makes a lot of fun. And it's like a new OSCE for them. Instagram is being used for dental anatomy. So you can enhance anatomy learning, and 2 dental schools have used Instagram. And we can see that they're using the Instagram format to identify parts of the body, look at things, and do the teaching. However, it's not open. It's a private account and not accessible unless you follow. Also, Instagram is a social media thing, but it's blurring the boundaries, but people are quite like this approach. Is it going to be useful? Is it going to be useful? I like this one, and this is done by Rodrigo, who some of you might know from Chile. And he stated that the use of serious games in oral health is limited. But I'm going to tease Rodrigo, because this came out of Chile. Be careful when looking at the work, because most of the studies all come from Brazil. But there's growing interest throughout the world. So you guys must be doing a lot of games, or maybe as an interest group, this is the area where it's seen or perceived that Brazil is in the forefront of it. One of the words they use is edutainment. Edutainment. And another article saying, same conclusions, not many games in dentistry compared to medicine or other places. So how do you reimagine dental education? In Sao Paulo, you have so many young people and so many young dental students. They're technologically advanced. They've gone through a crisis. They almost feel that they've been forgotten because nobody's really looked after them. We have looked after them, but in their mind, they might not feel the same way. They're looking for the answers. So we've got to have some more technology, use it to our advantage, plus resilience. That's our dental school. It's complex. We've got to recover from adversity, react appropriately, bounce back when life presents challenges. Not a case of telling people just get yourself sorted, sort yourself out. No. I remember those that no one told me or looked after me. That doesn't mean I do the same to my young students coming through. I help them. I look after them. In lockdown 2, Birmingham, there's more pigeons, birds around than people. Just before lockdown, I looked after a group of young people. There was in that crowd, there's 3 dentists, 6 medics, 7 or 8 nurses, 7 or 8 physiotherapists, and I think there's some pharmacists in there as well. They all were interested in antimicrobial resistance, and I arranged a series of lectures. And you know what? It didn't matter. They were dentist, medic, pharmacist, nurse, scientist. They all came together and enjoyed the fact that they worked together to sort things out. And that's what we have to do as dentistry, work together, share everything. So we can't always have dentistry open for business, but working from home. Will we be able to travel to Sri Lanka, Thailand? Will I be able to see you in Brazil, Maldives, South Africa, Canada? I'll be working from home. And then fake news. This is interesting. This is Birmingham. And a sign says, walk a mile in my shoes. And I investigated. And it's an underground movement as a journalist and young people. And they're questioning everything. Do I need a vaccination? Because I'm being told by someone who's very old that I need a vaccination. I've been told it's wrong. So we've got to fight. We've got to think we've got to walk in their shoes and understand what's happening. Otherwise, they will just ignore us and do their own thing. So it's a changing world. And dentistry, it will still be around. How different it is, I can't tell you. You will be different. We won't be the same. So I've got a smart shirt on, and I have got my trousers on at the moment. But hopefully I won't be doing Zooming all the time, and I'll get out and meet people. But that's just a few thoughts for you as educators to be thinking differently, and just think differently. Don't do the old thing, because the old thing was before COVID, and you now have to think after COVID, and all sorts of things will be different, and people will have different experiences, and we have to accept them and bring them together. I think that's my last slide. Yes, it is. Are we still there?
Thank you very much, Professor Damien, for your beautiful message. You need to be brave to show the last picture you showed us. So if we have any questions, let's put in the chat or open the microphones.
May I? Damien.
Yes.
I was thinking while you were presenting, and you know I like the citations you used to do, and you subtitles twice today. And when you asked me if I like to use the haptics, I think I like it, but I think, you know, as an old guy and used to do the things in a different way, we are always comparing. I have now 2 groups of students, one that had lab sessions with me live, and the other one that it's just online. The ones that never entered the lab are not complaining. For them, that's fine. But the other ones are always complaining, and they are always comparing. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. I kept thinking, and I remember, since you were citing the Beatles, when they say that I used to get mad with my school. Teachers were taught in the word cool, but it's getting better, isn't it? And you mentioned as well that if we have help and if we cooperate, we can do better things. And I remember the Beatles again when they say that with a little help of my friends, and maybe we can work it out. So if you could propose any change on the dental curriculum or the way we teach inside of our dental schools or outside of Nodome, what would you do? What would you propose to change?
I think, listen to your students and be ready to be criticized. Yeah, so listen to your students and be ready to change. Small changes, bigger changes, but change a few things because they'll be ready for it, and listen to what they want. I think that is the difference now, because I think that's what the change has been. Most of the conflict, if I say a conflict, is because young people are more empowered. They have more power. Now, they don't know how to use that power correctly. They don't know how to channel it. They don't know what it does. But I can see it can be very disruptive. Like, you mentioned, they're complaining all the time. Very difficult to deal with. And you can just find, if they are complaining, you just have to try and listen to them, help them through it. You may not make life better for them. They'll have to find out from others what's happening. But it's really, I've seen firsthand some teachers in real difficulties because they're being questioned, they're being asked questions, and they don't like being asked questions, or the student, we have some students say that they don't want to be taught by that teacher. And this is a teacher who I think is very good. He's very good. He might be occasionally tell the students wrong or right, but the students are coming together and saying, we want to be taught nicely. Well, it's very difficult for everyone to be good to everybody all the time. And you have to tell people that they may not be very good at the dentistry. But how you tell them that is going to take a little bit more time, because they're going to be a bit more sensitive to your criticisms. Does that make sense? I don't know, I may be rambling a little bit there, but I don't know if you noticed that in your students, but you've said that your students are very quick to say what they think is right or wrong.
Yeah, thanks, totally. Yeah.
I don't agree with them, but I'm not going to go in and shout at them or say they're completely wrong and make them look fools. I'm going to be a bit more careful and work around them, which is difficult because it's not easy to do that, and it takes a lot of time.
Well, we have no more questions, Professor Damien. Thank you very much indeed for sharing.
Would you like me to send a copy of my presentation to you?
Oh, please, if you can. Thank you very much. I will give some instruction for the people that are attending now. Pessoal, aqui está então o QR Code para registro de presença, que é nesse site, certo? Na primeira vez, informar o CPF e e-mail e clicar em registrar presença, tá? Selecionar o SIG Educação Odontológica e colocar então a senha, certo? Registrar a presença e, se possível, avaliar a sessão. O registro deve ser feito no mesmo dia da apresentação. Acerca dos certificados, eles serão emitidos via um programa de extensão. Então, no site da ABENO, nós temos aqui a imagem que dá o link para as informações do SIG. Lá vocês encontram, então, o link para a retirada dos certificados. Eu gostaria, nesse momento, então, de chamar a professora Ana Estela Haddad. A professora Ana Estela está de volta. Creio que não. Infelizmente, está com dificuldades para o restabelecimento do som. Então, por favor, visitem o site da ABENO nos próximos dias, que já teremos algumas informações, pelo menos um save the date da reunião, que vai acontecer nos dias 21 a 23 de outubro. So, thank you very much, Professor Damien. Hope to have you here in Brazil shortly.
I'd love that.
Okay. Maria Celeste asked me to thank you in the name of lots of friends you have here in Brazil. Ok, Ana Estela.
Vocês me ouvem agora?
Maravilhosamente bem.
Esses são os mistérios da tecnologia, né? Porque eu fiz tudo igual, como eu sempre faço e nunca tive problema, mas enfim, eu nem vou ligar a câmera, tá? Que é justamente para não mexer em nada, para ver se agora vai. Congratulations and thank you so much, Damien, for this wonderful and enlightening presentation, so inspiring. Thank you so much.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.
Professora Vânia, queria parabenizar você, a Beno, a professora Maninha e todo o grupo que se empenhou para criar o SIG Educação Odontológica, que abre com chave de ouro. E aproveitar a presença de todos para, enfim, convidar a todos, agradecer à Comissão de Ensino e a toda a Beno pela confiança. A gente está, o grupo de São Paulo, eu, o professor Celso, os Ilbovícios, mais um grupo de docentes da Beno, da UFOUSP, trabalhando para a gente ter a 56ª reunião anual da Beno, que vai ser de 21 a 23 de outubro. A gente gostaria muito que pudesse ser presencial em São Paulo, talvez não seja, talvez possa ser até um pouquinho híbrida, mas convidar todos vocês. Essa é não sei se vocês estão vendo, está projetada a logo? Então, bom, a ideia é trazer um pouquinho, mesmo que seja num espaço virtual, a gente quer, enfim, o tema, né, o grande tema da Beno, escolhido pela Comissão de Ensino, os desafios para o ensino odontológico, novos cenários, novas tecnologias, novos métodos. Acho que o professor Damien traz para a gente aí questões maravilhosas e que vão estar sendo endereçadas na programação que está sendo preparada, né, pensando bastante, né, o futuro do ensino odontológico em termos tanto do ensino remoto, mas principalmente também do ensino clínico e de todas as questões que permeiam, né, a avaliação, a simulação, enfim, a proteção de dados, tudo que vem junto com essa nova era aí que nós estamos vivendo. Então, a ideia é, sim, aproveitar esse momento para convidar todos, venham participar com a gente, enviem seus trabalhos, em breve vai estar aberta a submissão de trabalhos, e a ideia é a gente trazer um pouquinho também da cultura de São Paulo, da história de São Paulo. Daqui a pouco vamos ter o aniversário aí da Semana de Arte Moderna, temos vários aí artistas, arquitetos, enfim, que fazem parte da história cultural de São Paulo, e, enfim, que a gente possa misturar um pouco tudo isso com as questões de ensino e de pensar aí o futuro da odontologia e o nosso junto, né? Então, é isso, só dar esse informe e agradecer muito o espaço. Obrigada, professora Vânia.
Ok, muito obrigada, professora Ana Estela. Muito obrigada a todos os presentes. Quero registrar novamente o meu agradecimento pessoal e, em nome da ABENO, a todos que compõem esse grupo do SIG, mas em especial a professora Maninha, que fez isso acontecer. Tá? Nos acompanhem, estejam conosco. A nossa próxima programação é no dia 9 de junho, onde teremos uma mesa com coordenadores de curso discutindo os desafios, né, do retorno. Muito obrigada a todos. Thank you very much, Professor Damien. Hope to see you soon. Bye.
Thank you very much indeed. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.